Level 1. Seeker. They find you at your lowest. That's not coincidence. That's targeting. You've just lost your job. Your relationship ended badly. Your parents don't understand why you can't just be happy like your sister. You're scrolling through social media at 2 a.m., looking for something to fill the void, when an ad appears for a free workshop on unlocking your authentic self. The workshop is in a rented conference room at a hotel. Maybe 30 people, mostly your age, mostly with the same hollow look behind their eyes. The presenter is magnetic. He speaks directly to feelings you've never told anyone, names fears you thought were yours alone. By the end of 3 hours, you're crying, and so is everyone else, and the strangers around you have become the only people who've ever really seen you. They call themselves the family, not a cult. Cults are for weak people, damaged people, people who can't think for themselves. The family is a community of seekers who've discovered a better way to live. The founder, they call him Father, has developed techniques for healing trauma and achieving enlightenment that mainstream psychology is too corrupt to accept. You attend more workshops, weekend retreats, evening sessions at a house in the suburbs where family members live together, cook together, meditate together. Everyone is kind. Everyone listens. Nobody judges you for the parts of yourself you've always hidden. After 3 months, you move in. The decision feels like choice. The alternatives, returning to your empty apartment, your alienated family, your life that wasn't working, feel impossible. The family offers everything you've been missing. Purpose, connection, the sense that you matter to someone. You sell your car because you won't need it. You close your bank account because the family handles finances communally. You tell your parents you're taking some time to figure things out. You don't tell them where you're going. They wouldn't understand. They never understood anything. Level 2. Member. The house has rules, but the rules make sense. No outside news. It's all propaganda designed to create fear. Limited contact with family. They don't understand the work you're doing and their negativity threatens your progress. Mandatory sessions every evening where the group processes emotions together, breaking down barriers, building connection. You give up your phone. You stop checking email. The outside world fades to static, while the family becomes high definition, vivid, the only reality that matters. The isolation happens so gradually, you don't notice it. First, it's just reducing distractions. Then it's protecting yourself from negativity. Then it's understanding that the outside world is toxic, corrupted, dangerous to spiritual progress. By the time you realize you've been cut off from everyone you knew, the cutting feels like your own choice. That's how it's supposed to feel. The work is constant. Morning meditation at 5 a.m. Sitting in rows, chanting phrases that mean nothing and everything. Work assignments, cooking, cleaning, recruiting, maintaining the properties that the family owns. Evening sessions that run until midnight, processing emotions, confessing doubts, reinforcing bonds. You're exhausted all the time. Sleep becomes a luxury, 4 or 5 hours if you're lucky. The exhaustion feels purposeful. They tell you it opens the mind, breaks down resistance, prepares you for deeper truths. Looking back, you'll recognize it as a technique. Sleep-deprived people don't think clearly. Sleep-deprived people are easier to control. But you don't look back yet. You're still inside. You're being transformed. You're becoming your true self. Father appears at special gatherings. He doesn't lead the daily sessions. Trusted lieutenants handle those. But when he's present, the energy changes. Everyone sits straighter, speaks softer. His attention feels like sunlight after years of clouds. He notices you during a group session, calls on you to share your trauma, listens without interrupting while you describe things you've never told anyone. When you finish, he nods and says, "You're exactly where you need to be." You would die for him. You don't realize how literally you mean that. The language changes without you noticing. You start using family phrases, insider terms that mark you as belonging. Clearing for emotional processing. Outer world for everywhere that isn't here. Resistance for any impulse to question or leave. The vocabulary rewires your thinking, makes it harder to articulate doubts even to yourself. Your old friends stop trying to contact you. Your family's calls go to voicemail you never check. The life you had before becomes a story about someone else, a cautionary tale about what happens to people who don't find the family. Level 3, Inner Circle. 6 months in, they invite you to advanced work. Not everyone qualifies. Most members plateau at basic practices, forever circling the outer rings of understanding. You've been chosen for something deeper. The advanced sessions happen at night, after the regular members go to bed. The techniques are more intense. Sleep deprivation, fasting, confession rituals where you reveal every shameful thought, every secret resentment, every doubt. They record everything. They keep records. You start recruiting. The family needs to grow, and you've been trained to recognize seekers, lonely people, hurt people, people ready to hear the message. You approach them in coffee shops and yoga studios. You host your own introductory workshops. You become what found you. Some recruits don't work out. They ask too many questions, or they can't commit, or their families intervene before the bonding solidifies. You learn to cut them loose quickly. Weak links threaten the whole chain. The successful recruits follow a pattern: vulnerable, isolated, searching for meaning. You learn to spot them in crowds, to sense the emptiness behind their smiles. The opening line varies, but the pitch is always the same. I used to feel exactly like you do. Then I found something that changed everything. Would you like to know what it is? Most people say no. Some people say yes. The ones who say yes are enough to keep the family growing. Father meets with inner circle members privately. You start having sessions with him alone, late at night, in his private quarters. The sessions are intense, physical, boundary dissolving in ways that feel like breakthrough and violation simultaneously. You don't question it. Questioning is ego. Questioning is resistance. Questioning is the old self trying to pull you back. Level 4, Council. After 2 years, you join the leadership. 9 council members managing the daily operations, while Father focuses on higher work. You have access to the finances now, and the finances are not what you expected. The family runs on donations. Members sign over savings, inheritances, paychecks. The money flows upward through layers of accounts that you can't fully trace. Father lives well, the council lives well. Everyone else lives in shared rooms eating bulk-bought food, but that's fine. Material comfort is attachment. Attachment blocks enlightenment. You enforce the rules now, monitoring members who show signs of doubt, assigning isolation to those who need intensive processing, cutting contact between members and families who are interfering with their growth. You believe you're helping. Breaking attachments, freeing people from the chains that kept them small. The reports come to you daily. Who hesitated during meditation? Who asked questions in group session? Who received mail from family members and seemed affected afterward? Each report goes into files that council members maintain, building profiles of every person in the family, mapping weaknesses that might someday need addressing. You know everything about everyone. That's power. That's responsibility. That's what it means to be trusted. A member tries to leave. She has a brother who's been searching for her, who managed to communicate despite the restrictions. She's packed a bag and she's heading for the door, and you intercept her. You spend 3 hours in a room with her using every technique you've learned until she's sobbing and apologizing and begging to stay, until she's grateful to you for saving her from her weakness. You feel nothing but righteous purpose. That night, Father calls you for a private session. You're becoming powerful, he says. Power requires sacrifice. Are you ready? You are. Level 5. N for Sir. Your role crystallizes. Some members require stronger intervention. Members who've seen too much to leave safely. Members whose families are asking legal questions. Members who might talk if they reach the outside. You don't hurt anyone. Not directly. You just ensure they never have the opportunity to leave. Assignments to remote properties. Careful chemical assistance to keep their minds compliant. It's protection. You're protecting them from a world that would destroy them. You're protecting the family from people who don't understand. You're protecting Father from enemies who want to tear down everything he's built. A journalist starts investigating. She's published stories about other groups, exposed leaders, triggered government investigations. You monitor her communications. You know what she knows. You report to Father and await instructions. The instructions are specific. The journalist has a daughter in college. The daughter has social media accounts, posts about her daily routine, takes the same running path every morning. The instructions don't say to hurt anyone. They say to make the journalist understand that her family is vulnerable. You follow the daughter for 3 mornings. You take photographs. You leave them in the journalist's mailbox with no note, no explicit threat. Just images of her daughter, oblivious, unprotected. The investigation stops. The journalist publishes nothing. She changes her email address, moves her daughter to a different college, never writes about alternative religious movements again. You don't feel guilty. You feel effective. You've protected the family from someone who wanted to destroy it. The methods were extreme, but the stakes were higher. Father was right. Power requires sacrifice. Sometimes the sacrifice is your own humanity. The journalist's face joins the others in your dreams, the members you've processed, the families you've separated, the people you've broken in rooms designed for breaking. You tell yourself they deserved it, or they needed it, or they would thank you if they understood. The stories get harder to believe, but you keep telling them, because the alternative is admitting what you've become. Level 6, Doubter. The crack appears slowly. A new member reminds you of yourself. Same lost eyes, same desperate hope, same willingness to believe. You watch her progress through the stages you remember, and for the first time in 4 years you see it from outside. The love bombing that felt like genuine connection. The isolation that felt like protection. The confession rituals that provided material for control. The hierarchy that channeled labor and money upward while teaching members that wanting either was spiritual failure. You've helped build this machine. You've fed people into it. You've kept people from escaping. And now suddenly, you can see the machine for what it is. The realization doesn't come with relief, it comes with horror. 4 years. 4 years of believing you were part of something beautiful, and the whole time you were just a tool. A hammer that thought it was building a house when it was really building a prison. You think about the people you recruited, the bright-eyed seekers you delivered to the workshops, knowing exactly where the path led. Some of them are council members now, as complicit as you. Some of them are in the outer rings, still believing, still waiting for enlightenment that will never come. Some of them are on the farm in Montana, or properties like it, broken down to components that Father finds useful. You did this. You helped do this. And you can't leave. You know too much. You've done too much. You've seen people who tried to leave, and you know exactly what happens to them. Father's protection is also Father's threat. As long as you're useful, you're safe. The moment you're not, you start hiding documentation, copying files, recording conversations when you think you won't be caught. Insurance, you tell yourself. Protection. Evidence that could burn the whole thing down if anything happens to you. Level 7, the end. They know. Of course they know. Nothing happens in the family without someone watching. Father calls you to his quarters. The council is there, the lieutenants, the enforcers who used to be your peers. The documentation you hid has been retrieved. The recordings you made are playing on a laptop, your face on every screen, gathering evidence of your own betrayal. We gave you everything, Father says. Family, purpose, power. And this is how you repay us? You don't beg. There's no point. You know exactly what happens in these rooms because you've been on the other side of it. You've been the one explaining that this is mercy, this is protection, this is love that has to be harsh because the stakes are so high. They don't kill you. That would create questions. Instead, they assign you to the farm, a property in rural Montana where problematic members go to decompress. The work is agricultural, backbreaking, supervised every moment. No phones, no internet, no contact with anyone who might help. You'll spend years here, maybe the rest of your life. You'll become one of the ghostly figures you saw during your initiation. Members who'd been elevated to intensive practice, who never seemed to speak or smile or look anyone in the eye. The work begins at dawn and ends at dark. Digging, planting, harvesting. Manual labor designed to break down resistance, to exhaust the body until the mind stops fighting. You've assigned people to this fate. Now you're living it. There's a symmetry that would be poetic if it weren't so brutal. The other workers don't speak to you. They've been here longer, been broken more thoroughly. They do their tasks and eat their meals and sleep in barracks that smell like despair. Some of them were council members once, before they made mistakes. Some of them were just unlucky. At night, you lie on a thin mattress and stare at the ceiling, and wonder how many years you have left. How many years before you're one of the silent ones, before your mind goes wherever their minds went. How many years before you forget you were ever anyone else. But the documentation exists in places they haven't found. Encrypted files uploaded to servers you haven't told them about. Dead man switches set to distribute evidence if you don't check in. They can bury you on this farm, but they can't bury everything you know. Someday, someone will find the files. Someday the truth will come out. You believed in something once. Community. Transformation. A better way to live. And maybe those things exist somewhere, built by people who don't use them as bait. But not here. Not the family. Not father. This was never salvation. It was just another kind of cage. Bars made of belief instead of steel. Guards made of other prisoners. A warden who convinced everyone that captivity was freedom and freedom was death. And you helped build it. Brick by brick, recruit by recruit. Broken person by broken person. You helped build it because you believed, and then because you were afraid, and then because you couldn't imagine anything else. The farm stretches to the horizon. The sky is empty. The days are endless. But somewhere the files are waiting. Someday, they'll be found. Someday this all comes down. You just won't be there to see it.